Let me say welcome to you, ladies and gentlemen. If you just joining us the first time, this is the program, The Bottom Line, Liberia. And on this program, we do discuss the issues from the top to the bottom and make ideas out of no idea. We do discuss politics, we discuss human interests, we discuss health issues, and we discuss some professional issues as well. And so tonight, as usual, I have my co-host Paul the Lord Chodople, and Paul lives there in the UK, and I don't know whether Paul is hearing me, but if he's hearing me, Paul will have to tell us a little bit about his title, the Lord. I still find it hard to understand how a Liberian man will become the Lord Chodople. But welcome. If you just joining us today, I'd like to say welcome. My name is Linford Goer. I live in Norway, and Paul lives there in the UK. And good evening, Paul. Do you hear me?
Good evening, Linford. I hear you loud and clear. How are you doing?
I'm fine. And you?
I'm pretty good. We'll usually say thank God for another day and another life. So yeah, I'm good. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, and today is the 22nd of the 11th month, 2022. You know, that day, this day is the code is very special. Huh? So it will be like 22, 11, 22. If you do this month, this month year, it will be 11, or no, it will be 22, 11, 22. And I really love it. And this day is not coming until after 100 and how many years I need to do the calculation, but it will be I think 200 or 300 years before we can have a deal like this. Can you imagine?
Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be more than 300 years before we can have a deal like this. So the next one will be like 22, 11. I don't know how it's going to be, but I need to figure it out because I tried to solve it this afternoon, but I got tired in the process. But Paul, a lot of friends have been asking me,
Yeah.
Paul has a name, Paul the Lord Children, and not too long ago. How did he get that name? And I was like, huh? Yeah, good question, but I have not really found out how Paul got that name. So Paul, probably let us tell us how you got that name.
Linford, when the late queen, our late queen passed, her son became the king and working part with his charity, and he brought me on into the King Council. So the law was the title given to me as Lord Chilope. So I actually represent Liberia. So the day I'll be flying to Liberia, I mean, you guys, I hope you gave me the royal welcome. So I'm a member of the King Council.
Well, does the title go with some special immunities? Like, when Paul is traveling to the UK, people recognize him as the Lord, or you go to some events, I'm just
I
curious.
mean, it's almost like it's one of the highest ranking thing. You see, the guest, Sir, like Manchester United, former manager, he took the net hoop, but this one here, if you become part of the King Council, you advisor to the king. So that's a special privilege. So when the Lord is somewhere, it's almost like being an aristocrat. See, so although there's something we have to introduce into Liberia. See,
So
yeah.
how
But anyway, I know that how Tomo tried to introduce it, didn't work, but then remember too, I come from a town in River G, and that name Cholope, if you go down into history, the bearer of that name was one of the most powerful men in the global kingdom. So in reality, that Lord name is just like it's something that follow me. So when I go to River G today, when they hear the nature of it, say, "Oh wow, yeah."
Good.
So
Good.
yeah, so
I will stop it. We'll stop it right there because when when we go down to all of the local tribes in Liberia, and every
yeah,
name in the local tribes, actually they are connected to something, and 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 so uh, it's good that at least we are mixing it up, that we got the Lord added to the children. But let's say
yeah,
welcome to our viewers. If you just joining us, we'll say welcome tonight. I already see that Kaji consultant is saying that he or she looks up to a great show tonight, and that Mugo is there watching. Ma Vivian Sandro Norma is also looking forward to a great topic, a great discussion, because she says she loves the topic. But actually, we're gonna fire up tonight. We're gonna be discussing just the topics that you see. We're gonna be discussing them, giving our own perspective, views, and perspective. And we are expecting a guest panelist, and this guest panelist will join us later on during the course of the program, and we'll all put our ideas together to discuss. Because the thing is, like I've always said, if I tell you to describe even my finger here, you describe my finger in a way that I will have this finger, you know, 10 people will describe it in a way that I don't really know that my finger looks like that. So everybody have different perspective. Everybody see things from different views. So Paul, while we share the video, let's see if we can play our music, Takunje. And there's a reason why I personally love this music, because when we listen to this music, the message in it that the government failed us, and people sometimes think that this music was made during George Weah's time. No, this music was actually made during Ellen Johnson's time. So this music runs from one government and transitions to the other one that we are in now, and perhaps we don't know. Maybe it might go to the next government. We don't know. It depends on how that government, the next government, might be like. So let's hear from Takunje, and please, our viewers, help us to share the
so
video.
before you go, I just want to add on this. So when Takunje made the music, he was actually thinking about the Eden government, but he didn't know there'll be a corrupt field government after government, and it just suit all the field government that comes to bear.
That's the amazing thing about it, that when he made this music at that time, it's like, Paul saw this beautiful suit for himself, and it really suits him. And then when we look, Paul got a junior boy that even looked better in that suit than Paul himself. So that's exactly what happened. Because at that time, when the music was made, it suited the Ellen government. I mean, it was perfect. Okay, and so everybody had hope that, okay, the next government will be better. Only to find out that even that next government will make use of this music.
They're more than the Ellen government.
Yes, the previous government. So let's roll it, and then during that time we're gonna be sharing a video.
Okay.
My people, where you at? Where you at? Wake up from your slumber, stop sleeping. Whip your hands, whip your hands, whip your hands, whip your. Come on, come on, come on. I know you're sleeping now. You gotta wake up some more, yeah? Okay, let's go. The people fool us. The people lie to us. The government betray us. So much. I said they lie. The people fool us, the people lie to us. The government betray us. They can lie, they can steal, they go knock the ball. I said we tired with their lies. We tired with their promises that led us to all our damages. We tired with that speech they preach indeed, and now unique they deceive us. The thing we saw, it frustrates us. So why did you lie? Why did you steal? Why did you allow the citizens to be? You see, we just tell you that's why we voted you. But you fool us, you screw us, you use us and later on abuse us. So why? The government should lie. Why? But that's the question that we ask. The people fool us. The people fool us, so the people lie to us. The government betray us. They can lie, they can steal, they go knock the corrupt. I said no one to trust. My people don't want to hope on. Nobody. My hope that I have been broken. I'm telling you, brother. So where are the schools? Where are the roads? Where are the jobs that they say they could afford? But they're too selfish. The people tired with their rhetoric. People tired, they tired. You see the reason why we ask why the government betray. They have enough of time, but yeah, then instead they delay. People suffer. No work for people crying for hunger. Look at. Your vision and your mission, your intention to the nation, they poor. You got nothing to show. Nothing. So, why? The government should lie. Why? But that's the question that we ask. They lie. The people fool us. The people lie to us. The government betray us. They betray us so much. They lie. The people fool us, so the people lie to us. The government betray us. They can lie, they can steal, they go knock the corrupt. We tired with their promises that left us to all our damages. We tired with that speech they preach indeed, and now unique they deceive us. The thing we saw, it frustrate us. So why can you lie? Why can you steal? Why can you allow the citizens to breathe? You see, we just tell you that why we vote tell you. But you fool us. You screw us, you use us and later on abuse us. So why? The government should lie. Why? But that's the question that we ask. The people fool us. The people lie to us. The government betray us. They betray us so much. I said they lie.
Well,
behind the curtain, Linfo.
let's formally welcome you again. This is the program, The Bottom Line. And on this program, we we discuss issues of national concern. Somebody will say, why is he laughing? I'm laughing because of this music, people trusting their government, putting their faith in their government, and at the end of the day, the government betrayed them, lied to them, frustrate them, make them look hopeless. That's something serious. And so this is one of the reasons why we try to do the best for Liberia and try to see where does Liberia go after all of these very bad, excruciating experiences that we are having. Where do we go? Where do we end up to? And so, Paul, tonight we'll be discussing a few topics, and some of the things we'll be discussing, for example, will be Prince Johnson wrote a letter recently in which he announced that he is putting a halt to his relationship with the CDC. In other words, he has abandoned the CDC. He's no more going to be part of the coalition for democratic change. He's withdrawing his MRD from the coalition for democratic change, meaning that he's no more supporting President Weah comes 2023 in the elections. Now, that seems to make no big deal. Okay, that seems to make a headline in the news. And If I was to be one editor for one newspaper or even a radio station, I will use my editorial judgment not to give credence to that particular news. Like when I used to work in the newsroom, we had this editor that used to crucify our news. If you go out, you bring some funny news that doesn't really make sense, it's okay. We got a cross there. Say you're crucify our news. That newspaper will crucify your news before you come from the cross to candidates, So, and the reason I would do that is simple. In my own view, I find it very difficult to trust the man called Prince Johnson. After several years of hearing about him, after several years of watching his activities, after several years of knowing the kind of person he is, it would just be for me difficult to trust him. So that's my reason for which I will not give much credence to what he said recently, even though it makes news. I don't know, Paul, where do you stand?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say, well, thanks for that, Lifa, and welcome our viewer to Bottom Line. If you're first time tuning in here, kindly share the show or click the like button so whenever time it comes on, you'll be notified. With regards to Prince Johnson, Lifa, Prince Johnson is always a negotiator, and he's now start looking for another negotiating table where he can get something big. So when he comes up with a letter like that he withdrawing his support from the CDC, where do you think Prince Johnson going to go next? He's looking for this big thing for them to meet again so they can give him some big money, sign contract, and then he go back to support them. So it's that time he'll be looking for other parties now to back him with them. Look, I'm around. I can always deliver Nima County as the godfather. So he's actually now putting it out there for people to go after him, and then he make money out of them. So Prince Johnson goes nowhere. CDC will come by and give him heavy money. He will turn around and start supporting them again. Where do you think Prince Johnson going to go? Who he going to support?
Well, I didn't think about it that way. What I was thinking was that he cannot be trusted. One day you and Prince Johnson will have backdoor discussions, and in the next 5-10 minutes, you see Prince Johnson coming out to say that. And I can give you several examples. During the 2017 elections, when the coalition for democratic change was being formed, when Prince Johnson joined the coalition, I think they went for a convention somewhere in Banga. And Prince Johnson, according to him, George Weah was profusely drunk, that he didn't even know how to talk. He was referring to Nathan Magay as first partisan or all that kind of stuff. And the same Prince Johnson came out to tell us that George Weah, if elected, will make war come to Liberia. War will come to Liberia. How? We don't. He didn't explain that, whether it was economic war that we are experiencing now or gun battle. We didn't know. And Prince Johnson is also on record for condemning George Weah because, according to him, he and George Weah, before the election, they went to Nigeria to the late Bishop
Reverend T.D. Jakes. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, C.D. Jakes. And what happened in Nigeria, they are the only people who know because they went there. And according to him, they got consecrated, and because of that, they won the election, and they were supposed to go back. So, and they didn't go. So he was like not satisfied with George Weah. So Prince Johnson is always in a little controversial mood. But you struck a point that that I didn't think about before. That is, he because the sanctions on him from the U.S. That sanction talks about what pay to play. Okay? Yeah. So it could be that since the elections are around, and we all know that the last elections were what 5 years ago. Prince Johnson is still working in the Senate, and he has been spending some money here and there, maybe in his district and on his school, his university, and so maybe he's getting low on cash. And so Prince Johnson will say, "Wait, listen. The thing I know best to do is to create a scenario that I'm a kingmaker. That I can push buttons here and there, and I can make things to happen in my favor." So one of the ways to do it is that, and mind you, Prince Johnson politically he's not a novice, because he weighs the water now. You see that the way the real government is performing, they may not get that kind of vote that they got in 2017, right? And so he's like, okay, if I just tell WIA that I'm withdrawing my MRD, my party, and then WIA will do some calculations to find out the strength of the MPP, whether the MPP will stay or not, nobody knows yet, because we heard a lot of things. But if I withdraw my party, WIA will see that minus, that little subtraction, and you know that there is a hole left there. So that's the only way I'll be able to get money. Or I'm just playing on what you say, right? Or he put it this way and says that, okay, you know what? There are a lot of people out there, like Mr. Cummings wants the big tent that he's talking about to be filled, okay? And old man Joe Walker wants to become president. By all means, if he cannot become president, he will not be satisfied. So I will suspend myself and hang myself, play that part of story where he will be in the middle of the town rope on him. The person who will hold him first, he will go there. So that could well be true, Paul, like what you said. But never mind, or never forget about that pay to play that was mentioned in the sanctions that were imposed on him by the Americans. That pay to play. This is exactly what I think he wants to do. I want to agree with you on that point.
But Prince Johnson, no matter you see him, who may hate him or like him, the man, he's very calculated, and he's also a businessman, and he knows how to maneuver in the Liberian political system. Now, if you hear all the time people say, "Oh, CDC losing ground," so Prince Johnson know that he cannot hang on Mr. Cummings on the big thing, because Mr. Cummings made it clear that he would deliver war and economic crown code. So Prince Johnson he got to bargain with the CDC again, or the Unity Party that is running. So based on that, he put a card forward for them to engage in for negotiation. So somebody that come out with a very good bid, he will buy into it, and then he will put that person here and say, "Look, we're going to deliver Nima County, we're going for this person." So that have always been Prince Johnson's strength. So Linford, to say that, I would say that you shouldn't look into Prince Johnson for any good thing to come. He also looking for security, because the sanction on him as well, which are the party he can hang on to protect him. So Prince Johnson, I wouldn't give it credence. He's just looking for big money.
But again, it's hard to say. Somebody would say Prince Johnson would be serious this time around. Maybe he's actually serious. He has come to himself. Or let's say somebody that is not part of the CDC, other parties will say, okay, Prince Johnson is seeing that the downtrend within the CDC is not satisfactory, and this time he may be serious. So we can do business with him. Don't you think some people will think that, because it's not everybody who's smart, and it's not everybody who will be afraid. Some people always want to try luck. And to be frank, Prince Johnson got some numbers. I mean, let's not forget that Prince Johnson got some numbers.
So he put a card on the table now. So I'm resigning from CDC, guys. Who want to negotiate with me here? So it's an open challenge he put out there. We're withdrawing from the CDC because the promised Nima County ministerial position, they didn't give it. He gave the reason why they put it out. So they betrayed Nima County. So who won Nima County? Prince Johnson, the godfather, is here. Come and bargain with me. Come, let's negotiate and put some $6 million down so I can deliver Nima County. The man is a con artist. He who looking for money. No matter what we say, he know what he after. CDC will come back to him and give him big money. he will put George Weah hand up again. That's Prince Johnson. That his style of playing politics.
Mm-hmm. But another thing that somebody got to look at, of all the time, Prince Johnson has been boasting that he is the godfather of Nima County, right? And at the time, there was no strong contender pre- presidential wise. There was no strong contender um, to 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 contest or to be in Nima County. So for now, in these elections, in the particular elections, you got Councillor Tawan Konglo, who is also a son of Nima County. Then you have Jeremiah Wapo, who is also a son of Nima County. Okay, and they two are in a race for Nima County. And the reason why I'm mentioning these two people is that they are influential. One, two, they will also be putting out senatorial candidates for their respective parties. So then Prince Johnson, whether he had, quote unquote, some numbers that, from 2017 that he's carrying along, he got them locked up. I think that number, the guys going to break the lock on that number and they'll begin to divide that number. And so Prince Johnson may not just have total command of the godfather, should I say godfather ship or what, for Nima County. How do you look at that too?
Well, as he still claims and people still support Prince Johnson, he is the godfather of Nima until this coming senatorial race, when they kick him out, then he no longer godfather, and that's what needs to happen. Okay, welcome, Brother Cummins. How are you?
I'm doing great. And you?
Very well. It's good to see you.
We are doing great, and thanks for responding to our short notice. And our audience, as we told you, we're going to have a guest panelist. And the reason why we call him a guest panelist, Jeroya is also a program producer, like we do, and he's a journalist. So we cannot make him like the guest, that will be asking to be, answering our questions. So we made him a guest panelist because he will join us to give his own idea about the topics that we will be discussing. That's why we call him a guest panelist. And you might just be surprised what he will offer, because he's well informed. I know him. We know each other. And I know that if I put him on the spot, he can make it. So, Gerald, let's say welcome to you. And please help to share the show on your link, because we got a wider platform as well. But
I had to come because I've been told this is the only show that pays the guest panelists.
The guest panelists.
Yeah,
yeah.
so
Just
I had
write
to
your check.
already come so I can make some money today.
Yeah, write your check and keep it until when I become senator or president or like that. But we'd like to say welcome to you, like you said, and we're talking about I don't know, and I'm sure you might have heard about Prince Johnson saying that he's not going to put his weight behind the CDC vis-a-vis President Weah in the coming 2023 elections.
Mm-hmm.
And Prince Johnson, we all know, has a history of being very inconsistent, to the point where people who follow him during the wartime say he had made certain concessions with former President Doe, and they were supposed to be good friends, and something happened somewhere along the line that sounds like a betrayal, which led to those demise. That story, we don't want to go there. But no, the point I'm trying to make is that inconsistency is linked to the, or is synonymous to the name Prince Johnson. And he's coming out at this time to say that he's not going to support the party that he has been a member of as a coalition.
Just send me the link of the program. Let me share as well. I'm listening to you, but I just need the link of the live broadcast. Just send it to me. Let me share.
Okay.
I'll go on link. I'll share it with him.
Okay. And so, like I was saying, this is a man who I personally find difficult to trust because of the kind of decisions he makes, and the way he behaves. So he's coming up at this time, very crucial time. And this time is crucial because why? We are leading up to elections. We got barely 10 months to elections. Okay. And he's making this kind of announcement. Will you take him seriously as somebody who knows his record?
You let me say this. It's interesting, Lanford, to know that some people follow Senator Johnson, but it seems like they forget about this man's track record as it relate to promises he will make or his utterances out there. Let's go back to 2005 election. Prior to the 2005 election, if you may be aware, Senator Johnson, then Mr. Prince Johnson, was playing around the Unity Party. He went in there with the same game you see he playing with the CDC, that he could deliver Nima County to the Unity Party. And he went to contest on the Unity Party ticket. It happened that did not materialize. He went on his own party ticket. And he also played this game with the CDC during the embryo stages of the 2005 election. And many people had problem with him. He sat down in Nima County and made a statement. This is something that most people will not remember, but it was in the National Chronicle newspaper when Senator Johnson said, if you people clean, you'll give me money in a pickup, you'll come for it in Nima, I'll be waiting for you. Nobody show up there. 2011 election, Senator Johnson started playing his same old game. That he's this godfather, Nimbadians respect him, but maybe he think he's the only hero from that county because it's a vote-rich county. Mm-hmm. So he present himself like this demigod that the people will look up to him and he will be the guy to deliver Nimba. But let's come closer a little bit. 2017. Is this 2016, early 2016? Senator Johnson is on record in 2017, 2016, around there, for telling us, the Liberian people, that we should not elect President Weah, then Senator Weah at the time, because his presidency will lead us to war. This Senator Johnson. But then he was saying with Senator Weah in Nigeria at the Center God Church of the late Prophet T.B. Joshua, this Senator Prince Johnson was saying in Nigeria after telling the Liberian people. Now, watch this. He said in one of his recent statements that only a demonic character that cannot keep, his word, his promises. I think the senator, with all due respect, I think OH is catching up with him. He's on record when he met the late President Doe, and I have that tape, the video, the entire meeting at the Barclay Training Center in the G2 office. When he met President Doe, Senator Johnson portrayed himself to be that man who would keep his word or keep his promises. But let's look at it this way. Even if you saw Samuel Doe at the Freeport, you people met, your son or true. What led to his demise? What caused you to open fire when Tele and other people wanted them to kill you when you went to the Barclay Training Center? But Doe kept his part of the bargain. So Senator Johnson is a trickster, is a con artist who hired under the canopy of being a preacher. And that people cannot take him serious. Because President Weah is not in the country, Senator Johnson is playing this game. As soon as President Weir returns, Senator Johnson get his purse, his gift. Mark my word, he will flip-flop. You will see him singing another song in Nimba County as it relates to President Weir. So this man, nobody, having been in the country, being around the media for a long time, I cannot look at a Senator Johnson press release out there to take it serious.
You sound like you were here when I was saying it. That even if I was editor for one radio station or a newspaper, yes, his statement or his activities will make news, they will make headlines, but I will not give it credence. It's like you and I were just on the same page. And the reason is simple, because you cannot trust this man. And like you correctly outlined, this is a man who is on record for doing all of these things. How many more things do we expect him to do before we can actually believe that this man cannot be trusted? And Paul struck a good point just before he came into my Gerard. That is, this pay to play. And the Americans remember that the sanctions that were slapped on him, one of the points in that sanction has to do with pay to play, where he claims to be the godfather, and so he will sell votes. Exactly what we expecting or what we're suspecting now to happen. So why you think he still want to go that route where he's already been sanctioned, and the same people who sanctioned him, they still looking at him, and he wants to go the same route?
Well, this is where the electors now, who are the employers, this is where they need to take a stand. This is where they need to take a stand to understand that, look, if Joseph Couture couldn't do this to us, Couture and Prince Johnson went neck to neck during the 2005 election. If Joseph Couture couldn't do it to us, but Senator Johnson, even, look, to show that Senator Johnson is not a man you can trust, right? Senator Johnson had his guys here, he got his guys in the States who were his serious propagandists. They tried to recruit me on so many occasions. It won't work. He and the guys fed up because he promised them, as soon as President Weir become president, he was going to give them, the opportunity to come and hold some ministerial or deputy assistant minister posts or go as ambassadors. That was another showreel on his part. But because these were his kingsmen and people from his ethnic speaking group, he made no promises to them. So Prince Johnson is noticed for selling, or he's known for selling vote. It's like he who pays the piper plays the tune.
That's right.
Yeah. If President Weir, mark my word today, if President Weir return, Senator Johnson will smoke a peace pipe and will flip. Now, if you kill a sitting president because of atrocity, because of corruption, and you claim that you are a liberator and a man who believes in justice and fair play, how many times you heard Senator Johnson talking about the death of the auditors, the mysterious death in the country, the proliferation of ghettos, not only in Montserrat, but in your own country? What was the last time? So, look, Lenford, we're coming to a place in Liberia, right? We need to weed out, boot out all these lawmakers and senators we have in the country and find innovative people to replace these people. Because, look, the guys, not only Senator Johnson, as I speak to you, another corn artist, another he who pays the piper play the tune is Alex Tyler. He in our group. So these guys are just, and then you look there again, another guy is there. People looking at Senator Johnson, but are they looking at Edwin Snow? Another he who pays the piper plays the tune. So, is Senator Johnson under the spotlight? the spotlight. But there are other guys who are there who's selling the county or will sell their county because they want to be in the entourage of the president. Senator Johnson need money now, so he just playing that game. President Weah will come back. The money will change hands. Money will change hands. But it's up to the Nimbadians now to prove Senator Johnson wrong that Nimba County is not your cash cow.
What?
Yeah. It's about time that the Nimbadian take action on Senator Johnson. Actually, he had been using them for years, and he got rich overnight by playing that tribal card, liberator card. Not this time, and he knows that he needs a large cash, and since CDC is in trouble, he's going to run back to CDC. He just want big money from them, and he will get a big money. So you're right.
Yeah,
he's just waiting.
Okay. Then I will jump in here because that would transition me to my next question or the next topic about Prince Johnson that we should be discussing. Okay, let's hold everything constant, right? That Prince Johnson has resigned totally from the CDC. Okay, that he's out there. And before I ask this question, I will give you a short story where there were guys who went out and they met a group of girls, and one of them got in contact with the girl. Hey, hi, how you doing? You okay? How you guys came out? Then one of them said, "Oh, you see, my other three friends, they all married, but me, I'm not married." Like that, just like that. So the game that Prince Johnson is playing is like, okay, he said now I'm not with CDC because since I'm being with CDC, people are afraid to come to me, but now I'm open, I'm hanging. So whoever wants to put their heart in, they can come. So, but the point here is that let's hold it constant that Prince Johnson is no more with the CDC. Where is he heading to? And the reason I'm asking that question before we even make an attempt to answer it, let me give some background. The thing, like what Gerald said, the same Prince Johnson played around the UP, he betrayed them, he joined the Unity Party, and the CDC coalition, and he had been saying a lot of things about George Weah. There are secrets that they did in hiding. He brought it out. Mr. Cummings, I think, donated to his university. He came out recently to say Mr. Cummings bribed him with money or whatever, gave him some money and blah, blah, blah. So if this Prince Johnson has actually resigned and gave him also the hardcore scenario that CDC does not want him, so where will he be going? Because it will be that people will be afraid of him. That this man, so do you see him heading somewhere?
Well, he could be heading back to his old party, the Unity Party, where he played games with for many years. Because now...
you think the Unity Party will buy him?
Well, I would say Unity Party will look at that option because they seems to be desperate to go back in power to do what they did before this government. So Unity Party, anything that will get in office, they will do it. So that's the bottom line of it. So if he don't go to Unity Party, you're not going back to George Weah. But remember, he just went on air recently saying some bad things about Mr. Cummings. So, and Mr. Cummings has said that he would deliver the War and Economic Crime Code. So Prince Johnson would not go around there. He know that Unity Party would not deliver War and Economic Crime Code because of those in the surrounding. He know George Weah would not deliver that. So it's those two parties now he's trying to back in with who's going to put enough money on the table. And the economy have the money, so he will end up going back to CDC for support. And remember too, this guy is looking for security. He doesn't want for the American to get him on the war and economic crimes, the war crime particularly. Remember about the American knives? I mean the non. Prince Johnson is still over him, and he knows that. So he's looking for somebody for security, and whoever can give him that security, that's where he's going to go. But I want the people in Nima County to actually put him out this town, so he could face the weight of the law.
You mentioned the Unity Party factor, and there is this. It's not a price hanging over his head, though, but there is this thing linked to the sanctions on him that anybody, it's almost like the McGill, the Cephas, and the Tory, that anybody that will do business with them, they will be doing it at their own risk. And the American ambassador re-echoed that call or that warning just recently, a few days ago. So you think a United Party or Joshua will still want to make business with the Spring Johnson when the warning are clearly written on the wall?
Oh, yeah, because they're so desperate to be in office. So I will deliver Nima County to you. Even Nima is the second largest county in population. I will deliver Nima. Prince Johnson ran as presidential candidate. Nima alone put Prince Johnson in fourth place. Just to tell you how Nima is. If he gonna deliver Nima to any of those guys, forget it. They're gonna spend money because they see him as a godfather.
Yeah, but what about the risk of sanctions for anybody
Look,
doing
when those
business with
guys
you?
get in office, that would be a different scenario. This is Liberia.
You think so? Look,
Well,
the Americans are not playing game with anybody as it relate to the sanction. I work with an individual who was on traveling ban and access freeze for years. Okay, for years, not months. I say years, and I know what they had to go through. I know what they had to go through. So these people are not playing games to say, oh, like sometimes I listen to some of the people on the ground, the young people. Oh, Mr. Cummings is the man. The opposition camp are the one behind the issue of the sanction. Man, one of these people were reading the papers yesterday. One of these people have been following some of the things that transpire as it relate to traveling ban and access freeze some years back. I wonder they're familiar with the UN and our international partners when they put you on sanction, the things that you go through. So maybe they're not too familiar with it. So whoever, and listen, Paul and Lenford, if I had an opportunity to talk to any one of the presidential candidates, I would tell you, look, don't even try it. Senator Johnson is not a stable man. Don't try it. If you have a team, Paul, you have a team of people who can get down to the electors, sell your vision and your message. Have faith that you can win. But why would you want to play around an individual that is on sanction?
exactly.
It's almost like going to play ball with McGill or play ball with Vanny Sherman. When you know very well, you've been warned from the beginning that anybody doing business with these people will be doing it at their own risk. Then that individual or that political party, I can say this free of charge, that any institution that sees Senator Johnson in the corridor of power now and see him as the guy who will give us NIMBA and will go after Senator Johnson, that institution is not law-abiding. That institution does not respect law. That institution does not promote justice for the masses. So it will just be, let's play the tune. He's going to be the piper. Or let's give him the money and he's going to be the guy to deliver Nima County to us. There are other sons in Nima County. There are other people.
Gerald, for me, I think it's becoming a cliche. It's becoming very trite idea that Prince Johnson can deliver Nima County. Look, let me tell you, I told you, right now, you've got Jeremiah Wapo, Councillor Tiawan Gonglo, both of whom are running for president, and they both hail from Nima County. Now, what will happen in the future, whether they will collaborate with other party or whatever, but these people, they control sections in Nima County. And I will tell you, the lower Nima bordering Bon County, Nimaka long border Bon County along in St. John. Tiawan Gonglo comes from that area. His mother from Nima County from a town, and his father from his mother from Bon County from a town, and his father from Nima County. So along there, he had that edge. So he will command a group of people. Nima County is divided to 3 sections: the Geo people, the Mano people, and the We people on the other side, just small section. Now, Prince Johnson's command is always from around the Geo area. And Jeremiah Wapo is what? Geo. So Jeremiah coming from that area, he will also have command of people because he will feel like I told Paul earlier on, Jeremiah might be putting people on his senatorial ballots as well that will contest against Prince Johnson. Okay. Then Councillor Gonglo might do the same thing. So then what becomes of his power? So, the people, Prince Johnson is playing this scarecrow tactics, where.
And then, Lenford, when you look at it again through the lenses of politics or based on the sums in those different electoral districts and constituency, then let's look at former defense minister Daniel Che. Okay, let's look at Louis Brown. These guys from Grand Bassa, Pinky Duncan Cassette, she's from Grand Bassa. You have other sons from Grand Bassa County who tomorrow they find themselves supporting a presidential candidate. So Bassa having to be one of the threshold counties, that tell you Baboon will surely divide cola in that end.
Right. Yeah. And that's a scenario that will take place in
2003 election. It's not like what we saw during the 2005 election or the 1997 election or what we saw 2017. Okay. Now we have, and not to forget, you have Tuba McIntosh and others, right? So it's going to be a tough ball game. Lofa, the fight over Lofa will be a scatter fight. Looking at what just transpired during the election in Lofa County, if the former vice president was that popular in that county, they will be walking away with that position. But no, that was a scatter vote. So the thing with Nima County,
they have
giving Prince Johnson too much publicity.
Yeah, they have this. The United Party people have this excuse that the vote in Lofa County was among Lofans. It was among the sons and daughters of Lofa. And so automatically they would divide the vote. But now that it will not be among Lofa people, it will be against other people. All Lofa people will go in one clique. And this is something that I find it difficult. This is something that I find it difficult to believe.
How to work that one out, because there'll be a senatorial election, people coming from there too. And so you have the CPP, you have a senatorial candidate there, you have the CDC senatorial, you have Unity Party and other independent people coming. And wherever those people go, those CPP people now they will support their CPP candidate.
They are looking at the presidential. They are looking at the presidential candidate now.
That's what I'm saying. That LOFA will be so. I'm supporting you as a president. I'm supporting my man as a senator as well. So LOFA may end up being like Nima. It will be divided seriously.
Yeah,
almost. This is where the Unity Party people are making the miscalculation. They are saying that if Paul is running on CDC, on ANC ticket as senator for Lofa County, okay. But since he's from Lofa and Joe Boaka is from Lofa, time for the presidential election, instead of Paul voting for the president or the presidential candidate for ANC, even though he's an ANC senatorial candidate, you cast his vote for himself and then vote for Joe Boaka. So this is how their calculation is going.
Great, that's a good calculation, bro.
And this is the same mistake that led to what happened to them. But I think we know that Prince Johnson, from what we just discussed, we know that Prince Johnson cannot be trusted. One, Prince Johnson, in my own view, holds no more tight grip on Nima County because the political waters in Nima is becoming are becoming muddy, meaning there are many players there now. And so even if he commands group, it wouldn't be that strong like before. And I will tell
I
you
think
something.
we should not even talk about him because it seems like he's not going to commit political suicide. They're going to beat him. He's going to get out. He won't be senator again, and he knows that. So
Yeah, but
Prince Johnson need money.
the reason why it's good to talk some of these things sometimes, even though it had no relevance, but it's to educate the voters because some people will not understand. But now when we discuss these things, we bring out the little intricate issues. People will learn and they will say, yes, okay, I think we've been making this mistake. But let's transition. If any of you have nothing more to add to that stuff, Prince Johnson stuff, let's transition.
Concerning the Prince Johnson thing, right? Look here. Senator Johnson, before the president's birthday celebration in Nimba County, or he visit during the week of Senator Johnson's birthday, prior to that time, Senator Johnson, when he took a group of journalists to Nimba County to show his university, he's on record for saying the 2023 election, presidential and general elections, will be rigged by the incumbent.
Yes.
Senator Johnson. That time, he was not in a home with a psychiatrist. He was sitting before a group of journalists. And he said, and I quote, "If it don't happen, I am a man of God."
Yes.
I am a man of God.
I listened to that tape.
Okay? So you got one senator who is a preacher and a pastor who is a president. A pastor who is a president who sat on his pulpit or beyond his podium and said that the case will give to Lama, and the other guy was a boyfriend and girlfriend situation, which of course muddied the entire investigation. And then you have Senator Johnson, who's now telling us that the marriage between he and his former girlfriend no longer holds. He's now a free girl and he passing around. He's so beautiful. He's this beautiful girl. Everything is okay now. Anybody can take her. Well, if you start to take the man who said he is a man of God and that the next presidential and general election will be rigged and he see violence, there's something ain't right here though.
Yeah, something ain't really right.
Right here. I think somebody need to help the senator. Maybe he need a psychiatrist to sit with him, and talk to him. Something ain't right.
Yeah, something is surely not right because
something is not right at all.
For a man of his caliber, with all these titles, general, former general, then former warlord.
He's not sleeping well. Yeah, he's feeling the heat.
Yeah, something is not right. But let's move on now.
Somebody shared a joke with me and said, the Liberia also take a holy bath January 18, 2018. But after the inaugural program, they were looking for the bucket for the holy bath. And then it happened that one of the pastors said, but the bucket was here. And somebody said they saw a revelation. The bucket went to 2001. So, my brother, it seems like we're going way back. We got to find this bucket. Maybe Senator Johnson should be the one taking back.
Let me before transition, because what you just said, it seems to me when they put censure on you, it can go back. Because my case made similar statement like that he entered university 2021. So when you enter the year, you gotta go back. So something about the censure when it catch you is like
the only thing that is this: when you put people hustlers. When hustlers come to power, they want to get rich quick. So when you take stuff from them, they can't remember that they were down the line. So that's why they don't go way back instead of going ahead.
Yeah.
So they forget. Because if you take the thing from the hustler, the man start calculating the day he started hustling yesterday, he got to go back to that day. That's what you call a day like 1984 when you find yourself in 2022.
Yeah, look, Gerald, for our audience, this thing is just a 15-second clip. It's interesting. It's so funny. Just bear with me.
Friends, 1712, all I went to school. I entered university in 2005. I graduated from the university in 2001. I could not afford.
Okay, for wait, you play that one, I'll play the other one too, where you are in Banga telling the people, see how no money, you know, you just made it so interesting. But
You see, I mean, the thing is serious because this sanction thing is bad. Look at the man just in short period of time, the whole thing have turned white. So it just show you.
no, but
power
you see, you know, it's serious, but then we just laughing. But you know what sanction can do. For I don't know, there are some of us who do not have resistance, and even if we want to build resistance against certain things, sometimes we find it also difficult. Paul, I don't know what I can lay here on that thing where you're talking about. I'm trying to find it here.
Oh, I can. The one where he lied to the people, say, "Oh, even he buy your house here."
Yeah.
Is that the one you're referring to? Yes.
Yeah.
I can play it. Is this one here?
Yeah.
Let me roll this for you.
Yeah.
You could have some people think, oh, the post stealing money. But even if I see the money, I get it, I bring for a good thing. Because Ali, I see that carrying it in Europe. Some point in the country, all government are in eligible interest. That's the money. But we tell no money, the small girl will go to our people there, go pay for the small invest. I can't pay her in one country to invest. So I was going to tell the money I carry to Ghana, correct? No. But one country get it hard at me, I will take it from you, Gary. No. Then I'll leave it here. Yes. The day God take me, I will carry her with me. No. Our grandchildren will kind of see the ones there, but what kind of looking for? They go find all there. So these are the things we'll be doing. I just want to say thank you to Paul for doing what he's doing. What the young man doing, he's just doing part. One day will not be represented.
And you know, see in this video, the guy is confident. He's talking with acting of confidence. You know, yeah, he relating to the people. Okay, like he's exercising authority. He's explaining to them like the teacher standing in front of the classroom and showing that he knows what he's talking about. But in the other video, in this one year, see how the guy is literally like, trying to seek sympathy. Let me just really quick too.
Friends, 1712, all I went to school. I entered university in 2005. I graduated from the university in 2001. I could not afford.
You see, it sounds like he's hopeless and he wants sentiment. He wants people to feel sorry for him. So you entered university in 2005 and you graduated 2001. I know when the people were going, you were going behind. And then you say you cannot afford. So why you cannot afford? So today you can afford.
Yeah, today now, poverty is the parent of revolution and crime. So if they have not continued to increase in number, that state soon collapse. So these guys are taking the Liberian people for granted, for raw. They're using them, the low money. You also notice that former Minister Maggie was seen in the midst of a group of pastors who were praying for a reverse of the sanction, which does not make sense. The first thing first, you see, one of the places they were in error, when David committed murder and adultery, David, when he was confronted, David went to God. He wrote Psalm 51. And he said, Lord, have mercy upon me according to thy loving kindness and thy tender mercy. He said, create in me a clean heart. David had a repentant heart. But how can you pray for somebody when you know fully well that just right after inauguration, Most of these guys started buying homes, building property, and the masses continue to suffer. And you, as a preacher, you bring this man to pray for him and calling for a reverse of the
on his
decision.
head.
So you see what poverty can do? Sometimes not only poverty, stupidity can make people to do things.
Ignorance.
And they looking at the truth. So this coming election will be what I call a political surgical operation. If we miss this operation, we sign a contract with the devil for another 12 years, period.
Okay, talking about the elections, there are a lot of things that will lead to the elections the next 10 months, which for me, I feel the 10-month space is very tight. Is very tight. And if elections are to be held under conducive conditions, meeting all of the requirements that will qualify, dignify, and authenticate this election to the international community, that means the stakeholders, both the government, the opposition parties, will have to work overnight. I mean, pushing every button. You listen to me. I said, if the elections will have to be credible, if they have to meet international standard, if they have to be legitimate, that means the stakeholders, the government, and the political parties, opposition will have to work overnight. Or else, if we just want it to be just another election as in the past, then we can take it for face value as it is, and then we'll proceed. Now, why do I say so? Elections go by timeline. The election is like a project that you plan. You go by the timeline, because if you let one timeline elapse, you will miss certain things. You got to either stop from behind or you got to push ahead faster. So there are a lot of things that have not been done. And these elections, people are saying now they want to use a new system, the biometric system. And this biometric system is completely new to Liberia. Okay, in as much as it is fair, in as much as it is the best, but it is completely alien to Liberia. So then it will take a long time to get used to it. One, it will take a long time to make sure that it's working the way it works everywhere else. But as we stand, nothing has been working. The Elections Commission is still struggling to even find a contractor that will work with this biometric system. At the same time, the lists, that is the group that is responsible for the census, they are still struggling here and there, fighting each other, dismissing, appointing, and all these things. Census have not been held since 2008. That is some 13 years now, if I'm not mistaken. Nobody knows the actual population of Liberia. We've been guessing, we've been saying 2.5, 4.5 based on the last one. So it's a lot of bottlenecks along the way. And recently in the news, or just about today, it was surfaced in the news that the Elections Commission (NEC) has dropped the old contractor that they were trying to select. That is the ECAMP, that was rejected twice by the PPCC. Now they have a new group called LAXTON. LAXTON, that's LAXTON, LAXTON Group. But the question is, this group, the selection of this group does not qualify it by NEC. NEC will have to select this group. NEC will have to send this group to the PPCC for examination. The question that comes to mind is whether the PPCC will certify, will certificate, will vet this group and find them qualified to do the job. And if they do not, that means we have to go and find another group. So what happens? Time is going every minute. Like I told you before, elections go by time. So guys, that's the news that the NEC has identified a new group. They have dropped ECAMP to replace it with a group called a LAXTON Group. My question is, will the PPCC approve this group this time around? And if not, where do we go? I mean, there are two things here. The list
Before
just
Gerard come, yeah.
yeah, the list. Let me get lay the premise. The list just and then the biometric thing. So Paul flow.
As in the Liberian scene, they say horror, horror, boss trousers.
Hmm.
This thing should have been planned since 2018 with the censor. There was money given. They've been delaying. And if what Brother Cummings said earlier, that Prince Johnson said the election will be rigged. So should we take Prince Johnson word now that is coming to pass? Because this is what they're doing the horror boss tracing. The biometric system too, people have to be trained, be able to implement what it's meant for. And you clearly said it's time. Everything is measured by time. The sensor is time. So any result you get, it won't be a good result. That horror boss tracing, and when horror boss tracing, that's where chaos become. So, Brother Cummings, you can flow on this.
Look, let's wait and see whether they're going to pass the PPC. Let us wait and see what are the requirements there. And with all that has transpired with Legis, the information dissemination process, the lies, the myth, with even the finance minister poor performance to kind of share information. And I was listening to the vice president of the Republic of Liberia, where she appeared at Mika. And she was talking, I was looking at the body language, looking at her face. It's like somebody trying to save the day. But how can you save the day when the reality is out there? How? So there's a likelihood we might be heading for 2024 for the elections. Because let's look at the time frame. By this time, we should have conducted the census. By next year, everybody start to know when official campaigning will start. I doubted whether the information section of the National Elections Commission has jingles and stuff prepared. And this is one thing that, you know, I found out the opposition political party in some area. One, every time they take on the National Elections Commission, it's after the election process, which is belated. Let's check whether the voter roll, what was done, the errors made yesterday. Are we prepared as it relates to the voter rolls? This is something that was going to start talking last year or the beginning part of year before last. Nobody, go check, go back, go to different articles, read the papers. For me, I take note on people, especially when it comes to the presidential and general election. We continue to see a reoccurring of things that transpired yesterday. They're still happening today, meaning the system has not improved or nothing has changed. So, Lentha, whether they have a new group today or tomorrow, that group passed the PPC, whether that group will deliver tomorrow, these are the questions we need to ask. Is the National Elections Commission ready now? Will we have a free and fair presidential and general election come 2023 October? Let's look at the time frame with the latest issues. My brother, we can say, like Paul said earlier on, maybe this time around, Prophet Senator Prince Johnson, his prophecy or prediction might be right, because look at what is unfolding. Few days from now, we're stepping into December. Few days from now, we'll be stepping in December. How many legislators are speaking on this issue? How many legislators? None. Everybody was waiting for the money. I guess they got their paid a few times now. So they're going to use the latest issue and other issues as a political trump card for them. Whenever you don't hear the guys speaking on issue, just look at the timing, the time they come out to talk. When they talk, they don't do follow-up. As soon as they get some more money, they go back, they say that. So in my mind, I don't think the National Elections Commission is adequately prepared for the upcoming election. And the opposition political parties shouldn't take this for a joke. They're not prepared. They are not prepared. As compared to 2005, as compared to 2011 election, this National Elections Commission is not prepared. Devietta Brown, Lasana, and her team are not prepared. You can see it. The writing is on the wall. Nobody got to tell you. We ain't got to say speaking in Kwele or Kisi or Gola or Va or Madingo or Dane or Buse. The thing is right there.
Yeah, but it's a intentional. I mean, the dragging of their feet on all of these issues, from the biometric to the latest thing, the census. It is intentional. Can we trace it? Can we relate it somehow to Prince Johnson's prophecy that if we are, the 2023 elections will be rigged? Because if you look at it, like Paul said before, the latest thing, money was given. Okay, the moment the money hit, impropriety started. People started misusing the money. Okay, and then come this far when we should have almost completed. Because I listened to this Ellis Williams guy, this whistleblower. He said the census process is actually 1 day. The actual counting of people should be done 1 day. But then you have they allocated 10 days. And the reason is that you can have floating population. It could be that the day they come in to count me, I fell sick, I went to the hospital, I was down here, but they'll count my people. And so after you have done your 1 day massive counting, then the next 9 days now, so to speak, will be the time you do something called follow-up to come and see the person who was at work when you came here, or the person who was sick that was not here when you came. So then you do that little mopping up, okay? But at this time, we have not even started. Somewhere they were saying that they have counted some 35,000 houses, I don't know where in Liberia. But so all the delays, the question I'm trying to find out, or that I'm pondering is a deliberate, so that they will say, okay, we are not prepared to do this biometric system, and then the census cannot also be done because it's late, time is going. So let's just go back to our traditional, method of voting, where you go print something on a sheet of paper that anybody can print. Anybody can have huge quantities and take it right in their pocket and drop it in the various boxes.
You know what I was saying is deliberate? Watch this. Wayman Payne having to be a friend that I knew a long time. When I listened to the entire saga on a local FM station prior to Alex Williams coming out to talk, I reached out to him. When I reached out to him, he said, "Oh, Gerard, do the flyer, and I will appear, and we'll talk about it. The things you're hearing out there is a myth." I did the flyer, waited for him. He never showed up. Oh, I was in a meeting with our international partners. I said, "I'll give you another shot. Give me another shot." 3 times, my brother. 3 times. The man failed to show up. Then I sent a joking text to him. I said, "Listen, you know I'm not a Cato journalist. I just want the information. And I want to hear it from the house's mouth." And he laughed. He said, "Comrade, I will appear up to today's day." And you know that information dissemination is vital, right? And you being the custodian of that information, I need it from you so as to alleviate what you think is a negative perception out there, but then you don't show up. Then I listened to Alex Williams. I said, man, this guy is trained. This guy know what he's talking about.
Of course.
So if this guy, you government spend all this money on this man to train the man understand. It's like you can't take an amateur journalist to go to the war front to interview a general. That amateur journalist will run away. You got to take somebody who has an experience, who know what constitute news, what to bring to the newsroom. And Alice got what it takes to bring the institution up to speed. So why were they hiding something, or why all this hula baloo there? So it tells us that, well, the guys, they started squandering the resources long time. And what Ellis was saying was not a myth. You can see now, you can understand that everything they said they were doing, just look at the finance minister body language, look at his response to questions and some of the things he talked about, and then go back to Ellis's the two appearances he made. And the allegation, up to now, the government cannot come out.
And Ellis did not appear and make the allegation vaguely. He produced
documentation.
He produced documents. Up to now, the government will not come out to refute any of what he said, but rather they will say he's lying.
So it tells us that, listen, it tells us that, Lentha, these guys, they on some kind of operation. Watch this again, you've been around a long time. You've been around. Look at the timing of the president and look at the timing of the latest thing. Go back when Banga fell. Where was Charles Taylor when he said in few days they would take Banga? He was not even in Nimba.
He was in way across.
Yeah. And people thought that they could return home. How many people lost their life? Thinking that Banga was in their control. How many people died? If you go back a little bit, when Kroman left and escaped the incident that occurred at the executive mansion, he was out of the country. Peace be to his arches. He was out of the country, and they created the publicity storm that they could rock the barracks. It ain't happened. It ain't happened. That they knew where the people came from, that they came from they came from the Barclay Training Center. So the people in Buse Quarter became victims.
You see?
So look at President Weah. Look at the game the guys are playing. And one person who is an advisor to President Weah, who knows some of the things that transpired during the 1985 election that led to the death of Robert Phillip is where his name said. Oh man, he's an advisor now to President Weah. Emmanuel Shaw was part of the investigation, was part of the committee that Mr. Doe set up to investigate whether there were malpractices in the election process, when Emmett Hammond lied on Robert Phillips that led to them killing Robert Phillips like chicken. So when it comes to election, only people who don't read will forget. So when I've been watching all the things that are unfolding, I said, no, I see a real occurrence here. These boys know that they want to play some kind of game. But it's incumbent now upon the opposition to galvanize forces and say, look, we'll force David Brown, we'll force the government of Liberia, we want an election. If we can't get an election process by law, we'll go to court. And if it means that we need an interim arrangement,
go for it.
Election early 2024, we want an election process. But it will be sitting now and be whining and dining. Yeah, it's good. All the things, Sir Cummings and others are doing is good. But there is there is something that says that the writing is on the wall. You can see it. It's not hidden. These guys will want to rush an electoral process where the electors will not be adequately informed. Already, the National Elections Commission will not do what we want them to do in terms of creating jingles and drama to create that awareness. The civil society, they don't even have the money to do all these things.
Well,
We are at a serious one too.
yeah, and then for your question, it's combination of both. So that's the short answer of what is happening. And Gerald talked about it. If the opposition don't stand strong, these guys are they calculated, they did a calculation a long time. The new Supreme Court head, where camp she come from? You can look at anything go to Supreme Court regarding election matter, who you think will favor. That woman, what she telling you, the justice minister, the justice herself now, what camp she come from? People have to look. That appointment was crucial appointment in May. That any crucial thing can go to the Supreme Court, it's going to go in the common favor. They calculated a long time. They will do the delay. People will cause noise and say, Lord, we got laws that go to the Supreme Court. Election Commission will do what they have to do. Let's go to Supreme Court. So if we're not careful, then we'll go back to Prince Johnson revelation that he trying to proclaim that it will be some crisis. Somebody told me, say, look, in 2017, after the election, when Prince Johnson said that thing, that it will happen, and the person said, look, what happened in the Gambia could also happen in Liberia. Jaya Jame, he didn't want to leave power easily. That could also happen in Liberia. Because if you look at the writing on the wall, we're heading towards that direction. People will vote, they will not be happy. This similar thing like that could happen. So opposition, work hard and get this thing right.
And I hear this call on opposition to stand up, do something, but again, it becomes very, very crucial. It becomes very, very what can I say? Very edgy. It becomes very edgy to do something. What do you think opposition can do? Because the thing is, I don't think one particular opposition group will want to take the blame for huge demonstration that will want to cause.
No. Not demonstration per se. What they can come together and now start testing the law, take it to the court. I mean, everything is time. Everything is time.
We are afraid. We are all afraid that the Supreme Court. I mean, the judge,
they can do it now. Everything is time. Is timeline. By this time, we should have A, B, C. By this time, we should have X, Y. Everything is timeline, and you've seen the thing writing on the wall. So there are a lot of things going. So if things not going well, then you look at the Constitution. Whether they have to have interim until they get everything in place. They can challenge the law. You can't wait until after and then go take it to the law. Oh,
yeah, I think that's an important point that Gerald made that I think or the opposition people, or we Liberals have been missing on. We wait until when the damage is done. It's like, you're driving in the car at high speed, the road not good, no light on the road. In the night, you're driving the car at high speed. You say, yeah, because the hospital there, so I'll drive the car at high speed. When accident takes place, they will carry me to the hospital. Simply because the hospital there, so you will know that this is terrible, you do it until you go to the hospital. So I think the opposition, I agree in that sense, that the opposition should begin to, make some move, talk, and I mean, what I see happening in the opposition camp also is
the opposition don't need to be afraid.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I see happening in the opposition camp is pride, big-headedness, that some people feel that no matter what happens, I can win this election. I get a number. So I don't need to do anything.
No, but some of the opposition have been bold, Linford. So if just they feel that having been bold, take that bold effort to take the challenge to the Supreme Court. Some of them have been bold, so they won't do it.
Well,
But let's go back to history. In recent time, most of the protests or peaceful march, people are not seen vandalizing people's home, breaking into stores. Yeah. So there's no need to be afraid and say, oh, when we get in the street, they're gonna come after us. No, we marching. We calling on go to our international.
I think what will happen is the government, the incumbent, will find means to create chaos, because the people that go in the street, they are not marked though to say this is opposition or they're not wearing uniform. So the government will, because the government know that whatever happen, any chaos will be in their favor, because they are not the one organizing the protest anyway. So they will plant few guys there and say, look, by the time the people, and I'm saying this from experience, you remember when the early students went to the American embassy to protest, what did the government do? The government put down people out to go there. So the government would say, look, the moment the people get outside and they want to put pressure on, you'll go and start breaking stores, your blood roll, your point cars. We say that then, because it's not the government calling the protest, it's the opposition. So you see, I think everybody's trying to walk chalk line. Everybody's trying to be very careful. Everybody's trying to avoid this chaos, because they got you are a pastor, you are a preacher. You know the story about King Solomon and the two women who had a problem with a woman with a baby. So the right now the mother of the real mother of the child will not want to damage it. Okay, is the other mother will say, okay, let's kill it. So by the time the opposition organizes a huge protest, which I know can work, then the government might put in few insurgents and say, you're going to cause trouble. The blame will go on the opposition. So I think this is the place where the hitches are, from my own view.
Then the citizens, if they want to change, the citizens want to make sure Papa can come home and come home on time. Papa will not be jumping through the window to come home. The citizens say they want to change. And if they believe Lanford is the guy that will bring the change, and anything to derail the process or delay this process could stop us from having Lanford, then let's take on our legislators. Because you see, sometimes it's not always about taking the protest to the executive mansion or the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Or to the street.
Look, Liberians mean well. The group that they need to start holding their feet to the fire will be the legislators.
Right.
Yeah.
So will be the legislators. If they mean they go stay in session for hours and you'll lock that building, you'll lock the building. Because look, by right, these legislators, like I said earlier on, look at the depth of the auditors. How many of them talk and continue to talk about food investigation? All the different things. I know I saw Senator Dillon, but knowing Senator Dillon for his political charade, he always follow issue and don't follow up. We just bring it about and don't follow up. I don't buy into those things, and because when I was in the media, I know how he operates. As soon as he sees something, he uses it and jump in there. When he jump in there, he gains some sentiment, then he come out. Then he will not do a follow-up. So it's up to the constituents or the constituency to say, Paul Chulaple is our representative. We'll go to his office. We won an election process. Next year, what is happening? Then he will then go to plenary and say, look, my people are complaining. But sometimes they leave the legislators, and these legislators present themselves to be hero. They leave them, then they go to the president. Those lawmakers are a serious problem in the country. Serious. Not one of them can be exempt from anything.
Good.
Take the protest.
I think our time is fast spent, and we need to take the evening out. And so I don't know if you guys have just 1 minute each to lock up the whole thing.
Just make sure you send my money quick. So
Yeah. Remember, I send money drinking coffee. When I send money now, you
no, I drink coffee. When you send the money, I don't drink coffee. I drink green tea. When you send the money, then I'll drink something else because this is the only show that pay the panelists to come. That's why I keep running.
Well, but then the bottom line's already reached place to G.
That's
I hold 9 euros because you got in Europe. So I hold 9 euros you're sending in US dollar.
But I want to say it was a good night for us and a good afternoon for Gerard. And, it's always good to pop in with some of the brightest ideas that we can put together to discuss some of the issues in Liberia because, and trust me, you from tonight, that the little things that we say make sense. They make things to happen, but we may not know now. And this is why we sometimes go into history and say, "Oh, you remember years back, John Brown, Peter, or so person said this." But when they were saying it at that time, it wasn't very important. It didn't ring bells. So everything that we say, it may not sound too big. It may not make sense to some people, but we making sense. And I can assure you that I've been around this thing for years. If we only say that and talk bad things, you will not know how it will fly faster than what we're saying here. We can say all the good things, it will be like, but say bad things here and see where we'll go the next 10 minutes. So let me say thank you to you, Gerard, for honoring our short invitation and make all your bills and send it. We'll send it to the national headquarters of the bottom line.
I keep looking at the phone to see whether the thing came true, my man.
Yeah, it will come. You know how far is America from Europe? It will take a long time. You gotta go to the airport, book a flight, you gotta change flight and all that kind of thing.
Man, Lenford, you been in the newsroom. The thing don't come like that. The thing come quick.
Sometimes we used to
The
wait
one
for that
second
thing.
story to go, the thing come quick.
Sometimes we used to wait for that thing, man. You wait for it, you call the minister say, "Oh man, but you see the thing, now they send nothing."
And you know what some of the big guys will do? When the story is juicy, whenever you see a cabinet minister around a radio station, 11 o'clock, they ain't no Sunday not for them.
Oh, yeah, that one
Then they wanted to go.
He
Or they want something in the papers, so they are around late evening. And that's the place, with all fairness, this is the place I miss some Taylor government officials. The guys were media friendly. They were media friendly. Not the amount of money they would give you, but they were committed to interviews. Madam Salif, some of her cabinet ministers were good at that. Like former finance minister Anthony Syed, former defense minister, former foreign minister Olubanki King, former justice minister, their commerce minister, Councillor Francis Johnson Morris, and others. They understood the media. They could find their way. But today, cabinet ministers, including some of the politicians, they are not media friendly. Even their people don't see the need that they need the media. That's what Donald Trump became hero. That was Donald Trump became hero because he could play around the media. He understood some game about the media because the guy was always around.
See this government, every time Dick and Harry will speak, they do have, But this is it, and we hope we can get out of this thing. Paul, you got any final word?
Yeah, so it was good having you, Gerald. On Saturday, we usually have an ANC night. And I don't know, we want to give you an open invitation. So this is where we look
at the first salary can come.
Okay, so we'll get the director of Bottom Line, Lenford, will speak to you on that. Yeah, so it was good. It was good having this discussion. Sometimes our opinion, people don't know, and I hope the people of Nima County will see launching this town to now Footprint Johnson. It's about time that Nima get different people to really run Nima County. So it was good.
Thank you,
Okay, guys.
gentlemen. Thanks.
Okay.
So,
Well, Paul,
Linford,
yeah, it was good on the show this evening, and we hope that our viewers can go back again and watch the video. If you didn't watch it from the start, you can view it again, or you can start. You can share it. Better still, share it on your link, on your Facebook link, so that other people will watch it. And it was interesting to have our friend Gerard. You know, he's a journalist as well and a preacher, and so he's well versed. He remembers the history. He knows some of the events, and so it's good to always have people like that here. And Paul, from my end, I'd like to say thank you. And this is how we'd like to take you home on this
okay,
edition of the program. And right after this, Paul, can you roll our Eugene Fangon music?
thank you.
I cannot get me for late here to drive for the 7,000 hour car. Now what's what camping for? That's stupid. That is what camping for your stepson to wash a car. With wear champagne, 350 US dollars. That is what camping. That is what camping. Or you feel like to eat lobster and he's showing the baby chicken and driving at the 8,000 hour car. That is what camping. That is what camping. For China to be controller general, why a web that PPCC course? That means you campaign. That means what campaign for Bessie Yeke to be head of place. Why a web that one of the people want to NASCO? That means you campaign. That means what campaign for Emma Castro to be the head of NAFA. While husband is a consultant to Marita. That means you campaign. Oh, that means what campaign. So from the investing, how can I go into detail? That's stupid. That means you campaign. Oh, that's stupid. That's stupid. That's stupid.